Many thanks for joining me on the Marketplace as I bring to you details of all the headline stories, plus more on this edition of the program. Let's settle with the very first story. Head of Africa Department at the IMF is making a strong case for government to invest heavily in human capital and education this year. This, he believes, would ensure the projected economic growth for the year benefits all. The advice is coming after the IMF projected the country's 8.8% growth will be the highest in Africa. George Yafe has more from Washington, D.C.
Well, all too soon, the annual IMF World Bank meetings have come to an end. But for Ghana, the summit or conference can be described as an interesting one, especially when they just completed a program with the IMF and what the fund has been saying about the economy and what government needs to do to stay on track. First was the projection that we would end the year with a debt GDP ratio of 62%, representing just a 4% growth. But the IMF had some advice for government on what they need to do and not to start celebrating now just because of the fact that their problem with the debt might be ending soon. Let's hear from a director at the IMF.
There has been progress on debt reduction, but there's a need to sustain those efforts. And the priority is really sustained fiscal consolidation and transparent financing to make sure that debt continues to decline. And in that context, the important efforts are needed to broaden the tax base, strengthen tax compliance, and tax administration.
There was also the caution that we are still among the league of countries that can be described of high debt distress or risk of high debt distress. Let's hear again from the director on the reasons she has to give for this.
Debt is still at relatively high levels now, and there are risks then associated with contingent liabilities, with exchange rate depreciation. As you know, there were cleanup costs then for the financial sector in the past year, and exchange rate depreciation that contributed to small increases in debt.
The IMF is also projecting that Ghana would end the year with an 8.8% economic growth. This could be described as the highest in the region. But the IMF is saying that Ghana needs to do more to ensure that it stay on track. So what are the options, or what is the advice to government? Abebe Selassie is the Africa boss of the IMF, and this is what he has to say.
On post IMF program policies in Ghana, I mean, we've seen a significant improvement in narrowing of the macroeconomic imbalances that was confronting the Ghanaian economy in 2014-15. I think staying on this course will be what is important, making sure that fiscal deficits remain manageable, making sure that the resources that are being borrowed continue to be used on projects of the highest rates of return, making sure that the calibration of monetary policy remains one that's consistent with keeping inflation at bay, the exchange rate at competitive levels.
We can also not forget about our interview with the governor of the Bank of Ghana on what he had to say about the city and the prospect for the economy. Let's get some recap of what the governor had to say.
People form opinions and they shape their expectations on the basis of those opinions. And then when they find that they have formed the wrong expectations, they quickly correct those expectations. And you see that the currency also in the process is corrected. Going forward, one should expect that the CD should remain relatively stable. We have no reason to see very sharp, sudden movements. The central bank is in a good position to deal with short-term fluctuations.
Engaging investors here and even other African governments, they still believe that Ghana has the tag of the rising star of Africa. And therefore, there could be a lot of pressure on government to live up to expectation in keeping the economy on track and even telling others that they had what it takes to manage the economy even without the IMF. From the Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., this is George Yafe reporting for Joy Business.
And back here in Accra, the Ghana Commodity Exchange has revealed plans to rope in 1 million soya beans farmers onto its trading platform by 2020. This follows the introduction of soya beans in addition to maize as part of its commodity trading. Chief Executive of the exchange, Dr. Kader Alpha, explained that in partnership with some commercial banks, the commodity will help farmers to benefit from financial support for their businesses.
The main thing is we want to bring more liquidity to the market, targeting specifically those farmers who probably have the commodities they don't want to sell now because they feel the prices are low. We want to make the farmers the price givers. We want them to give prices. We don't want the farmers to take prices. He can bring his commodities to our warehouse. He has a warehouse receipt that he can probably keep for a period of 3 to 6 months, which is sufficiently a long time for him to be able to get a better market. And then we also have the banks who have come, individually with different borrowing rates. And then we've always said that we want the banks to compete on interest rate. So those banks who will come with interest rates that are not competitive will probably not get any business. And we want them to come with more innovative, products. Also provide other services like insurance and others. So we are working with them to ensure that we have all these things gathered so that the farmers can get better deals at the end.
Now, participants of the just-ended Women and Business Fair are proposing a quarterly program for improved capacity and national economic growth. On the final day of the event, exhibitors and patrons had a dose of how to effectively balance work and womanhood. The topic was one of many discussed at the seminars as part of the 3-day event, the first of its kind in the Ashanti region. It brought together women captains in various fields of endeavor at the Kumasi City Mall.
I'm Dinah from 360 Naturals. As you can see, we have natural hair products from Design Essentials, we have Cantu, we have Kuza Naturals, we have Kelsen Naturals. So we are a natural hair brand. So what we do here, we have a natural hair salon as well. So what we do, we educate people on how to go about their natural hair and all that. And coming to this fair at first, I was very hesitating because it was the first time we are organizing a fair like this. And I thought that me being a woman, I should come to support other women. And generally, it has been a very good event.
This is Oil of Nature Company, whereby we are into natural products like moringa, shea butter, coconut oil. The program has been very nice. It's been innovative. We see a lot of people coming in, and I think it should go on.
My brother, my sister, my mom, and
so my name is Annabelle Jacqueline Ajayi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Jabel Style. We do exquisite African wear for ladies and gents. So we've been in existence for about 9 years. And the fair has been good. At least we've seen different people who have come around. So we hope that maybe next time Love FM can have a bigger platform. But that's beautiful. We enjoyed it.
Yes, Lord. See, I could fight for your love. I could go off for your love.
Biko Africa Textiles. Yajuma ye kesiye pa ye batik tie and dye. Enipa me brain him say batik tie and dye etchem. But them person me come obia ti ase ne say batik tie and dye enchem. E da so fa shepa ye de papa. Obia wo sha obesha kopem say de wa wo pa. Unpese o hyebiom na wa ye. Program na ye kama pa baby a ye no no. E ho ye kama every 3 months.
Baby, if I leave, make thunder fire, thunder fire, thunder
fire. This is Hannah's Enterprise. We're doing all kinds of liquid soap production. We have very beautiful products. We have over 11 products here at our stands. We have some for bathing, others for washing, and all other detergents.
When you go to the Google Play Store, you download the Petite Home Affairs mobile application. Yeah, Petite Home Affairs is a mobile application. It's one of its kind, to be honest with you. We have services that include fashion and beauty, home maintenance and repair, installation of new appliance. When you're moving in and out of a new house or an old house and you would want somebody to help you pack out or pack in, once you are registered as a client, you book all your data with us, we do a background check. So anytime you need such a service, just at a click, the service provider comes to your doorstep.
And those were some sights and sound there from Kumasi. Let's now move on to one of our top stories today. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has directed Gold Coast Fund Management Limited to cease collection of receipts of new funds from the public. According to the statement, SEC is fully aware of the plight of investors who have placed funds with the company and are unable to redeem them. I've been joined by JoyNews, Joy Business in-house analyst Philip Namfuri to tell us more about what exactly is in the release and which companies are in good standing so far as considered by the SEC. Good afternoon, Philip. Welcome to the marketplace.
Thank you.
Now, what exactly does the statement say about Gold Coast?
So the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC or SEC, has taken full cognizance of the plight of investors who are unable to redeem or take their investments which are locked up in some of these institutions. And as such, is directing that Gold Coast Fund Management should, for the time being, stop receiving new funds and make sure that it's tied its affairs in order with regards to paying what is already out there. So just make sure that people that have invested get their funds, and then from there, I'm sure there'll be further discussions with the Securities and Exchange Commission on the way forward with Gold Coast Fund Management.
And so what does it mean for Gold Coast Securities at this juncture?
Well, if you're reading from the release, it says they're not allowed to take in new funds. And you know, there was this notice that was brought earlier on about guaranteed funds. They should cease taking funds with regards to a specific product. Well, this looks like it's talking about a broader receipt of funds. So till you make sure that everybody has been made whole, don't take new funds. Make sure that everybody has received what is due them. And I'm sure from there, there'll be more discussions with the regulator and everything will be well and good.
Could Gold Coast be going down the lane of men's gold?
I think it's too early to say, because I'm not sure any regulator will want to take any action that will jeopardize institutions and depositors' funds. And it will interest you to know that in this release, the SEC states that it's aware of the size of Gold Coast Funds Management in the economy or in the asset management class. So exactly, I'm not sure they want to take any measure that would jeopardize this. So I'm sure all this is to protect you and I, Abaje.
Now, the SEC has also been mentioning, some other companies on the capital market in good standing. What are these companies? Okay, so if you go to the website of the Securities and Exchange Commission, as I have right here, it says in gold you find fund managers with no major regulatory issues. And it will interest you to know that on the website it says this is not to say that the companies that are in red are companies that are not safe to invest with. All it's saying is that those that are in gold have no major regulatory issues with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and those in red have a number of issues, which may be regulatory issues, pending complaints, suspensions, or a voluntary cessation of their operations. And if you look at the bulk of fund managers, 129 of them, out of which 80 bear the gold color, and roughly 47 of them have the red color. But that's not to say, and I must state, that SEC is saying that these companies are not safe to invest with. They have a number of regulatory issues which they must deal with regards to the Securities and Exchange Commission. And this was put up somewhere 2nd April 2019. So just to update us, like the Bank of Ghana does with regards to banks in the system, it's the same thing with fund managers, so that we are all aware. And this information can be found on the website of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay. Many thanks for your time, Philip Namfuri. We're trying to get in touch for a reaction with Gold Coast Securities executives to respond to what exactly the SEC has been saying, as and when we get them in our subsequent bulletins, we'll put them through. Let's turn attention to other developing stories in the aviation sector. The Minister for Aviation, Kofi Adda, has dismissed reports of plans by the ministry to privatize the Kotoka International Airport. This follows some emerging documents suggesting the ministry was engaging a Turkish company, TAV Airport Holding Company, to manage the airport. But speaking to Joy Business, Kofi Ada says the information is false and described it as a political gimmick.
First of all, I haven't seen anything credible on that. I'd like to get something credible from whoever is putting this out, for them to explain to me what they mean by privatization or selling and so on and so forth. I've been a consultant for the most part of my life, professional life in Ghana. When you talk about privatization, it takes all kinds of connotations. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know who's put this out there. I've even heard that it's been said somewhere that they're selling Ghana Airport. I don't know who you're going to sell it to, who's going to buy it, for how much. I'm surprised at this. But the government would always look at any kinds of arrangement that would improve the value of the assets that we have in the nation. Bear in mind that the president has made it very clear that he's here to protect the public purse. The public purse is not just about the money, about the treasury, but even about the assets. So if there's any assets that the state owns that we have to protect, it's not about just protecting and keeping the way it is and keeping there for it to remain that way for a long time. That in effect would mean that the value is going down. It would be our duty for us to enhance the value of that asset. So any kinds of arrangements, any kinds of business plans, any kinds of discussions, any kinds of negotiations, any kinds of partnerships, whoever brings them, whether it's you, the journalist, or any business person who proposes this is the way that we can help you to improve on the assets that you have, to add values on that, we'll be more than happy to engage you. Many have come around. I have not had any serious discussion with any party on that matter. But at this stage, nobody has formally come to me talking about what we need to do to privatize. And I don't know where the word privatization comes from. I don't know where the word sales come from. I'm yet to see the documentation, to read, understand, and know what they're talking about. So I think the question should go more to those who are putting this out. If some people undertake some cheap political shots, or what doesn't exist, that's for them.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of the Airport Company Limited confirms his outfit is still in charge of running of the airport.
I have also heard rumors, but as the #1 at the Ghana Airports Company, I believe you all understand that if something of that nature were taking place or is being discussed or have been tabled, I'll probably be the first person to know. But I can tell the whole of Ghana and the entire world that I've not seen any document to that effect. And as such, I can only refer to the rumor going around. I've seen a one-pager that talks about, I think, a memo written to cabinet. I've not seen any document. The only thing that I've seen is what I believe you've also seen that is going around.
This is live on the marketplace. We now want to do some developing story in the courier services industry, and recently we heard that Jumia has listed on the New York Stock Exchange. What does this mean for the industry in Ghana? I have with me Albert Jiga. He's from Zuba Services. You're welcome to the market.
Thank you. Company name is Zuba Shop.
Zuba Shop.
Correct.
All right. So how do you take the news that Jumia is now on the New York Stock Exchange?
Well, it's good news for the industry on the continent. And this is the message that we've all been trying to sell, that despite the fact that the industry requires a lot of investments to penetrate, what we're essentially selling to the outside world is the prospect of what this business on the continent can become. Remember that Jumia has listed on the burst, on the New York burst, even after racking $1 billion in losses. And in their prospectus, they clearly state that they are not profitable and they don't expect to be profitable in the foreseeable future. I mean, so the question you ask is, what are people buying, okay? And I have a professor from University of Cape Town that says, really the prospects of a business are in the future cash flow. Okay. And that's what people are banking on. Right. The fact that we're on a continent where today, even as we still have a lot to go as far as internet penetration is concerned. Exactly. We're talking potentially 400 million customers on the continent. And this is expected to go maybe 2.5 times by 2022.
All right, now Jumia cited, the cost of operations, in its work for listing on the New York Stock Exchange. What impact, or what is the cost of operations within the industry affecting? How is it affecting your services?
Well, I'm not sure I can speak to Jumia in particular, but the fact still is that we're operating under 1% of the capacity of the market. So what's happening here is that we're racking up losses, basically trying to grow the market. And this will take time to happen. As you're well aware, it took Amazon over 10 years to get profitable. So this is a curve we have to go through. And again, the market's reach for the stock just is a confidence boost to the industry that we're on the right path. And really look at it this way. The continent generally is growing between 5 to 7% per year. Okay. Mature markets are growing between 2 to 3% per year. Smartphone adoption, payment gateways, size of the market, size of the retail market, everything seems to be in the right numbers on the continent. So that's essentially the prospect, and that's what people are buying into, future cash flows.
What are the prospects for Zuba?
Well, we're on the market currently also trying to raise some money. We're definitely not on the New York Stock Exchange yet, but we're looking at big things on the back of what we've been able to achieve locally, and we're looking at expansion also onto the continent.
What do you hope to be within the next 5 years or so?
Well, hopefully retired. From having raised enough money from an IPO to no, but more seriously, we're looking at expansion into West Africa and into parts of Eastern Africa.
Many thanks for your time.
Albert
Diga is from Zuba Services. And on that note, to wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace, many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi. We have a good afternoon.